So I want to talk today about who shall I be. There are a few things that I want to specifically focus on. So one is that it is a very short and kind of poetic introduction. The student is a soul in transit coming from one place en route to someplace else. Moving is the American way after all. Our guiding principle is the fresh start. Our foundation, the big move. And nothing seduces like the promise of a clean slate. So it's very short, but then we get this quote that kind of illustrates. And we talked earlier about when we were looking at The Teacher Who Changed My Life about quotes being really good for illustrating things. So here is obviously, we probably all know someone that had something happen in high school and then they never lived it down, right? So all they wanted was to get out of high school so they could go to college and have a clean slate where nobody knew them. So it's very relatable. Also, they're talking about this as the American way. In part, it's because in America, we are always looking to better ourselves, to move up, to increase our status, to increase all. It's just part of our American ideology. And so that's another thing that we're talking about here. Also, she gives a bunch of different illustrations. So she talks about a bunch of different people. She's got Hillary, we've got Julie, we've got Michelle, all that kind of stuff. And she does that so that she can be relatable to a lot of different people. At least, all of us can probably relate to at least one of those people, or we understand those different people from high school. So it makes it a little bit more relatable. The other thing I want to talk about here specifically with this particular piece of writing is that she sets up front what she wants to be like, right? She's talking about being like Rusty. She says here she wants to be like Rusty. She wants a completely clean slate. And so she sets that up here up front. And then at the very end, in her conclusion, let's take a look at this. It says, and what of my changes? Well, when I was friendly and happy in college, nobody gaped as though I had sprouted a tail. I learned to laugh things off as Rusty might have done, and there was one particular counterman at the luncheonette who called me Red, which was the closest I came to being known as Rusty. So she made a few changes, right? And she did a few of the things that she set out to do, but not huge changes, right? Let's keep going. What became of Rusty? Senior year, I started an announcement stating the dates that Banks would be recruiting on campus, and Rusty materialized for the first time since freshman year. Rusty was a yuppie now, and I pictured her dressed in a navy blue suit, looking uneasily like Mary Cunningham, setting her sights on Citibank. I was still the high-strung, oversensitive would-be writer. I'm happy to report my skin did clear up, but a little better, who left the corporate world to Rusty. For myself, I have the rest of the slate of my life to write on. So a couple things about this. First of all, she repeats this idea of the slate. She says at the beginning, she's talking about the clean slate right here. And then at the end, she mentions that again. So that's called bookending. So at the beginning and the end, she uses similar language to kind of wrap everything up. Also, she's talking here about change, and what she learned over the course of her journey is that we don't change completely, right? We might change a little bit, we might change certain things, but we're not going to completely become a different person, right? It's not really possible. But at the same time, she did make some changes, and she was a little better. But here's the key, here's the thing that she learned, and this is kind of what I want you guys to think about when you go to write your personal narratives, is what did you learn from a specific experience? So here it says, for myself, I had the slate of the rest of my life to write on. So in other words, she can continue to change throughout her life, right? It doesn't have to be just in college. That's not just a specifically college phenomenon. And we change all the time anytime we have something new happen. If we meet a new friend, if we date someone new, if we get married, if we have a child, if we retire, if we get a new job, all of those kinds of things change us as people. And that's when we're constantly changing our slate, right? So that's kind of what she learned. So over the course of this, and she talks about all these different people and that kind of thing. But what you want to think about in your personal narratives is whatever tale you're going to tell, what did you learn by the end of it? What was the lesson we saw in the classroom in the wider culture, that he learned how to reconcile his Chinese and his American identity, right? So there was that. In Shitty First Drafts, she learned that writing is a process, that you need more than one draft. And in Teacher Who Changed My Life, he learned that writing was sort of his calling and that teachers can make a difference. So in in all of these, there's certain lessons, there's things that they learn over the course of a specific journey. And this one is talking specifically about college, which, is obviously relatable to you guys. So as you go through your college career, kind of be thinking about that. So that's why I assigned this specific writing. And this one is a little bit more like a magazine style as well. It's got the quotes. She's talking about all the different people and that kind of thing. So a little bit more of a magazine style here. So, okay. Thanks, guys.